Hello there and welcome. In this episode I'm going to show you how to clean and maintain a Fluval Sea Evo. Now these aquariums have been designed to be very easy to maintain, and it's much like cleaning a freshwater aquarium. In this video I will go step by step and just show you how to properly maintain this tank. For maintenance I recommend that you have an algae pad and two containers, one that you can put RO in and one that you can put salt in. You'll also need a siphon to remove some of the water. And remember, if you're taking salt water out, you'll need salt water to put back in. So the first thing I'm going to do is predictably clean the glass. Now I haven't had much of an issue with algae in these tanks, and it tends to be something that needs to be done every couple of weeks, but that'll be your first step. Give all this algae a good clean off of your glass. Okay, so once you've done that, you're going to want to go and turn everything off. Completely remove all of your plugs, because we are now going to clean in the filtration system. Okay, so at this point you're going to want a bucket of salt water. Now I'm going to be doing a water change at the same time as this, so I'm going to be using the water from the aquarium. And we need this because we're going to be cleaning out these filter sponges. So I'm just going to siphon out about a third of the salt water from this tank. Now if any of your corals are exposed during this point, don't worry too much. Corals are actually quite happy with being exposed for small amounts of time. Most corals are actually fine to be exposed to the air for short periods of time. So there we go, that's about the amount of water I'm going to be taking out of this tank. The next thing we want to do is take out our sponges, take out your pump and take out your skimmer. Pretty much everything from your filtration area in the back. Now you can't quite see it in this particular video, but after you take out your sponge you'll probably notice that there's a lot of build-up of dirt in that middle chamber. It is definitely worth getting a piece of hose and siphoning some of that out. You can do that as part of your water change, but it will make a massive difference on the cleanliness of your tank, because all that dirt that's building up in there is actually an area where nitrates are going to be building up. Just to show you, that's the colour of the water that I've just siphoned out from that middle chamber. Now there's not a lot there, maybe a litre or so, but you can see the amount of dirt that builds up, so definitely do this as part of your cleaning. So here are the sponges I've removed from that central chamber. Now not much needs to be done here, you need to give it a good gentle squeeze and you can see some of the dirt build up that's coming out. The biomedia itself, which are these stones in here, you can just give them a bit of a rub and remove any dirt that's built up. The only thing you really need to change will be this pack here. Now this is carbon. After a month or two this will need replacing because it will stop working properly. I mean, you don't have to replace it, you can actually just bin this and not replace it at all, or if you want to you could replace it with something like a nitrate or phosphate remover. So that's pretty much your sponge clean. You don't want to do it too heavily, but you can see that's quite a significant amount of dirt I've removed just from a gentle rubbing. So now we're just going to go ahead and put that back in there just to keep the media wet so we don't want bacteria die off. So the next thing we're going to clean is the skimmer. So you want to just clean around here because this is quite a area that dirt builds up. Give that a good clean. Just like so. Now another thing you can do with this skimmer, if you want to give it a really good clean, is completely remove the skimmer and put it into a bucket full of RO water. Now RO water over 24 hours will dissolve any calcium build-ups that are happening in the skimmer, and it's a good thing to do periodically because skimmers can lose a bit of their efficiency because you get build-ups of all sorts of calcium and you get things living in them. So occasionally doing that will help. You can put a little bit of white vinegar in there as well if it's very caked. So lastly, from this back chamber I'm going to take the pump out because it's very important to maintain your pump. So you can see on the pump there's a bit of build-up of just general dirt. That can be washed away quite happily in the water we've cleaned our sponges in. What we're really wanting to do though is get inside of the pump and give the impeller a clean. If an impeller gets dirty, it actually stops spinning very well and it can reduce the flow rate. Also, if it gets too dirty, sometimes impellers can just stop working completely. Another thing we want to do when cleaning this is to just give this little pre-filter a quick clean. You can see it's doing its job. It's stopping a lot of the dirt getting to the impeller, but again, if this gets filled with dirt, then it's going to slow the flow rate of the tank down. So give that a little clean in the water we've already cleaned our filter media in. So let's have a look at the impeller and see what the state of play is. Now there's a little bit of gunky build up on there, and that's enough to warrant taking it apart and cleaning it. You can see all this sort of filth building up, and that is something you want to remove, because if that builds up, sometimes it can harden, but a lot of the time it will just keep building up and stopping your filter from working. You also want to get into the hole and just get a little pipe cleaner, or if you've got small fingers, you can just get in there and give that a good clean out. It doesn't take a lot of effort. So we'll just give that a quick clean off. If you've got a toothbrush, you can also clean the actual impeller itself, and that's already a lot better. So now I'm going to just reassemble the pump and put the pump back into the back area, put the heater back into the back area. I'm going to clean the skimmer cup, which should be done regularly anyway, and then we'll move on to the next part of the maintenance. Okay, so that's the filtration system back together. So let's just recap on what we've done. We have turned everything off to begin with, which is a good start. We've drained a little bit of water. We have taken the filter sponge out, given it a clean, and replaced any media as needed. We've given this middle chamber a bit of a siphon to remove any of the dirt that's built up. We've taken the pump out and given the pre-filter and the impeller a good clean. And we've cleaned our skimmer. Now that is all back together. So there isn't much else to do, but there is a little bit of preventative maintenance left. Now with salt water you get something called salt creep, and this is something which it can be the bane of a lot of marine fish keepers. Now thankfully in this tank there isn't a lot of areas for salt creep to build up, but one of the main areas will be the lid and also the light. You can actually see it a little bit. If you look on top of the lid, this here, which is quite moist but there's also granular, that's all salt, and that's called salt creep. Now that will build up over time, and if you don't clean this periodically, it can cause things to start to look a bit rough, but also I find that it causes degradation within the system. So what you're going to need for this is the RO. This is fresh RO, doesn't really matter what temperature it's at, and a cleaning pad, and we're just going to give all of this a good wipe down with RO. The other part we're going to wipe down with RO is the light. Now these are waterproof, which is a good thing. You'll also get salt creep build up on this, and obviously if you get salt on your lenses, then the light output's going to be reduced. Now you'll probably notice and be wondering how I've got this light outside of the hood. The way I've done that is I've modified the hood a little bit. Now across here is normally a bar, and that's where the cable goes, but it makes getting the light off a bit tricky. So I've just removed that bar, and it makes life a lot easier. So that is all nice and clean. You wouldn't think it because there's loads of these particles flying around now, but that's just some of the mulm that I've disturbed when I clean that back chamber. This mulm will very quickly flow back into the filtration area, and this water will be sparkling clean in no time. The only thing left to do is to buff it up and make it look really nice. So I like to get a spray bottle and get a squeegee and just get that glass nice and clean. There's nothing like having really clean, clear glass. So, thank you for watching. I hope this video has been helpful and informative how to clean the Fluval Evo. If you want to see more of this kind of content, please remember to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Once again, thank you for watching and happy fish keeping.